right, so what's next? The NFC West?
The best division in football, the NFC West, in my opinion, the best division in football.
It's like we'll see how true that is coming up next year, but
Because they're not going to be playing the NFC East 4 times this year.
Like the AFC North, it was real nice to get 4 easy dubs off the NFC West, NFC East this year.
Even though surprisingly, the Giants did beat the Seahawks. You guys beat the 49ers, and the Washington football team did beat Arizona, the 49ers, and Philly got swept by everybody. No, Philly beat San Francisco that Sunday night football game against Nick Mullins.
Nick Mullins was just throwing the ball to the other team. I do remember that. But all right, so starting off with the NFC West in the division winning Seattle Seahawks, they got nothing but drama. Russell Wilson don't want to be there no more. Jamal Adams still has yet to be paid, even though they gave him 2 first-round picks for him.
That was a bad idea. I taking that back to we both didn't think that was a good idea. Then you shouldn't trade 2 first-round picks for a safety that doesn't catch interceptions.
Both of their corners are free agents this year. They only got about $17 million cap space and not really a whole lot of room to extend or restructure guys because there just isn't a lot of talent, veteran talent on this team. I think the biggest thing they should do, but I'd be surprised if they did, is cut Tyler Lockett and save $12 million. That would open up enough room to go add some other better players. I think Will Fuller would be a much better fit for them than Tyler Lockett. Because their focus needs to be on making Russell Wilson happy. Russell Wilson wants input. You have to be out here giving Russell Wilson what he needs. But
is cutting Tyler Lockett for Will Fuller? That seems like such a lateral move. That would that help the Russell Wilson situation?
Russell Wilson's the best deep ball thrower in the league, arguably. Tyler Lockett, while we like him, Will Fuller's a 6'2" faster version of him. I think
Tyler Lockett's always available.
He's always available on the field, but there's plenty of games where Tyler Lockett gets you 2 for 12, 2 for 16. I'm just like,
gotta look at Russell Wilson. Maybe gotta look at Russell Wilson. Do you think they're trading Russell Wilson?
I don't. They got him on a long-term deal. He's 31, so the value is going to be a lot more tricky when it comes to that kind of offer. And once again, these quarterbacks have to show me that they're going to miss games. It's not like this is Le'Veon Bell or a different position where they need to be holding it down. So for right now, I'm going to have Seattle keep Tyler Lockett because, like you said, I don't know how much of a upgrade that is at the position. So I'm going to operate with them at $17 million. And they've got a few needs. They got a need to corner because both of their corners are free agents. They got needs at the edge position. They have been trying to find an edge guy what seems like forever, and they have yet to be able to fill that void. And the offensive line, just anywhere. Because for whatever reason they refuse to help Russell Wilson go be great on the offensive line. So now I think this is the time where they need to go just add one quality offensive line just to make it a little bit better for them. At corner, I went with Cheeto. They aren't working with a ton of space. I like Cheeto to fit the Seattle scheme because you know what they want to run. And for a guy who can come in probably for $8-10 million and step right in and be a starting caliber guy, only 25 years old, I think Cheeto would be a good fit. And Seattle has a lot of similarities to the Dallas Cowboys in the way they like to do things. At edge, I went with a cheaper option here because I just don't think they can afford a Carl Lawson. Shaq Barrett's already got re-signed. I don't think they can afford a Yannick Ngakoue or a Matthew Judon. So I went with Aldon Smith. Seattle had interest in Aldon Smith at the trade deadline last year, but we turned it down. The Cowboys have yet to make a decision on Aldon Smith with free agency kicking off today, and he fits what they want to do as far as like a base guy who could play. He tapered off a little bit at the end of last year, but he still had 5 sacks in his first year back in 5 years. So you know he's got fresh legs. He's been a talented pass rusher. Seattle's very familiar with him with their bouts with him in the San Francisco and the NFC West battles. So I like Aldon Smith to be a guy who could step in for Seattle and provide a little bit of extra juice off the edge in pass rushing. Last but not least for Seattle, target Joe Thuney. If they want to go spend all that money on one big guy to really go bring a great fit in for Russell Wilson, it's got to be Joe Thuney. Bring in a guy who can help. They want to run the ball, so Joe Thuney would help them create some more lanes in the run game. He can protect Russell Wilson in the interior of the pocket because we know he can get outside, and I think that would do a lot of good for Russell Wilson in terms of increasing his efficiency later in the year when the weather gets colder outside, when the pass rush gets a little bit hotter. I think Joe Tooney would be a good piece to solidify Seattle as the division front runners going forward.
Want to help Ross Cook? That's the plan. Help Ross Cook. Oh, that'd be a good signing. They need to bring in an offensive lineman. Clearly, it's a big need for them.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I do think their pass rush need is just as dire. They have a big pass rush need.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think they can afford any of the top tier 1 edge guys that would it cost. They gotta have to sit back and wait, and that's the dangers of having a quarterback on the deal that he has for right now.
Definitely. Well, then I guess next we're gonna move on to everyone's favorite team in LA. That scored 3 points, coming off scoring 3 points in their last Super Bowl appearance, the Los Angeles Rams.
New quarterback
who I like a lot, so that's a good start. They're a team that somehow never have cap space, but always make moves and free agency.
I think we got to talk about Stafford for a second, because Stafford, although we know he's been in Detroit, and Detroit doesn't breed success, obviously, he's 33 years old now.
Which is prime quarterback year.
He's dealt with a ton of injuries. He's never really shown the ability to be big in big games.
Like Kenny Galladay, I'll say, I don't know how hard players really fight to come back and play for Detroit while hurt.
So how many more wins do you think Matthew Stafford is worth over Jared Goff if all things are equal?
Luckily for them, because Seattle's having the Russell Wilson drama, LAR is my favorite for this division. Mm-hmm. They should walk away with this division easily, and they should win at least 2 playoff games next year. They should be hosting the NFC Championship game. I haven't predicted to host the Super Bowl at home in LA next year. So that's my early Super Bowl favorite. So I think they're in a good spot. They've got Donald and Ramsey. They've got Cooper Kupp, and they've got Woods. So they've got their targets. They've got their new quarterback. They always They know how to work the cap better than anybody in this league, probably.
And an excellent head coach, Sean McVay.
I think there's a lot of things riding on him this season. Yeah. He has the most of the pressure will fall on him and Stafford. They have to make this team a Super Bowl championship caliber team. And, with all the restructurings they could do and cuts, mostly restructurings because they just got to restructure their core guys to make money, they could get about $17 million in cap space. If they really wanted to, they could get back Leonard Floyd. So that's really all they can do. And they made their free agent move. They traded for a quarterback, so they really should just be happy they got off of Jared Goff, really. Yeah. Because I didn't see how they could get off of that contract.
I mean, the Rams are a team that was playing the Packers tough in the division of the playoffs last year, so they aren't that far away from getting back to the Super Bowl. And I do agree, an upgraded quarterback, they should be definitely in the mix.
Definitely. So I guess next is Arizona?
Yeah, I think Arizona.
They pulled Oakland this year, and they were 5-3-ish, and then somehow still finished 8-8.
Well, if you recall, Kyler Murray suffered the shoulder injury right after, I think a week after the Hail Mary, maybe 2, and that definitely caused them to lose a couple games that they probably wouldn't have lost ordinarily. I
mean, what games did they struggle against the 49ers? They struggle in the division. They still struggle in the division. They're good against Seattle, but everybody in the division is good against Seattle because they have good pass rushers in that division, and Seattle doesn't have a good offensive line. Mm-hmm. But they struggle against LAR and San Francisco a lot, which is so scary because those are the really well-run teams in that division now. And, I mean, they've got J.J. Watt. How do you feel about J.J. Watt joining Arizona?
I think he's definitely got an upgrade from whoever they already had. J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, Marcus Golden. That seems to make for a very steady pass rush.
And they did re-sign Marcus Golden this morning. We did find out about this morning. So I guess that means they're not bringing back Mr. 6 sacks against the New York Giants in one game, Mr. Hassan Reddick. I guess they're not bringing him back.
Hassan Reddick looks like he's going to be on your open market.
I didn't have him coming back in my predictions anyway, so I see why that would happen. He had 6 sacks in one game. And had a 10-sack season, so I don't really think...
like Adrian Claiborne?
This wasn't a Shaq Barrett where I got a 6-sack game and I finished with 20 sacks. So, yeah, different situation here. Of course, I've got him cutting Justin Pugh. What a bad signing. He just didn't stay healthy. Apparently, they've already cut Robert Alford and brought him back. Then after Alford, I guess cut Hicks and cut Kennard, save another $7 million. Restructure Hopkins and Humphreys. They'll get you near $48 million, and I guess that's where they use some of that to sign J.J. Watt. What did he get again?
He got 2 for 31, 23 guaranteed.
Think that's an overpay?
Probably slightly, but it's only a 2-year deal. J.J. Watt still showed that he's at least a top 10 type of edge player, and Arizona's trying to win right now, so I think it's a fine pickup.
All right. Also with that money, I guess they got to sign Pat Pete back. They got to bring back Pat Pete.
Wow, that seems like if that was going to happen, it would have happened already.
I've got him priced at $10 million per year. I think he's going to be one of those second-tier free agents guys who's got to suck it up and take a 2-year, $10 million deal or something, 10-year per deal. If they can't get Pat Pete, I guess they got to be in that Desmond King market. They need to get a corner in. I actually like the guy that they got from Washington. That they've got. What's his name? Wow, Murphy.
Oh, Byron Murphy.
Byron Murphy.
Oh, you meant Washington College. That makes sense.
Byron Murphy. That's his name. Wow, we figured that out. I like his potential, but he's a 2.
Yeah.
He's a 2. So you need to have another solid 2 or get a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have them. I think Arizona should be in that Will Fuller market trying to find a number 2 receiver.
Yeah, I mean Christian Kirk hasn't really worked out for them. Larry's a dinosaur at this point. Love Larry Legend, but
he's done. Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's all for Arizona. I guess now we move on to
the San Francisco 49ers, who went from worst to first back to worst.
That's what they do.
And they're a team that, if healthy, can easily go right back to first again. We know Kyle Shanahan is a great non-Super Bowl head coach.
Is he the best head coach in that division?
I think so.
I've got him above McVay.
I think so. I think he's better than McVay. We all know what San Francisco problem was last year. The team got absolutely eroded by injuries. They should be bringing most of those guys back. As little as I think about Jimmy Garoppolo, they usually win when he plays.
Isn't that crazy? He's not that good, but they're like 700 when he plays.
But because he's just so much better than Nick Mullins
and
CJ Beathard. So the first thing San Francisco really needs to do is find a capable backup quarterback.
Nope, they cannot trot out another season of Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. There's been 3 consecutive. They know their quarterbacks hurt all the time. Not another season with those 2 guys.
I think this would be a good fit for Andy Dalton.
You chose Andy Dalton? I thought you were about to say Brissett, but Andy Dalton, that's good too. He fits the scheme.
Andy Dalton fits the scheme. He's not good enough to be create controversy with Jimmy Garoppolo, but he is good enough to take over that job with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah,
he struggles.
Wouldn't be surprised.
So I think Andy Dalton would be a nice fit there. Maybe San Francisco's got about $30 million in cap space, so if you want to give him 1 year, 10 to 12. To come be your backup and possibly a starter for a few games, I think that would be a really good investment for San Francisco.
Okay.
But outside of the quarterback position, San Francisco's got big needs in the cornerback position. We just got word that they're resigning Jason Verrett, but they're still letting Witherspoon walk. They're still letting Sherman walk. So Jaquiski Tart, I think, is a free agent this year. So they got needs all over the secondary. Cornerback's the biggest spot. But they got $31 million, which is enough money to play with, but not so much money that they can just go spend on anything. So
they do have Trent Williams as a free agent.
Yeah, and I fully expect, as of right now, Trent Williams was one of my primary targets for them. They have to bring him back. You traded a pick for him. He's clearly an elite guy. He's on your team. There's no reason to try to lose him. That 3rd-round comp pick ain't worth it. Go get Trent Williams back. At corner, I like Shaquille Griffin from Seattle. I think he's a little bit underrated in terms of his ability to play. He's been stuck in Seattle with absolutely no pass rush basically his entire career. He fits the scheme to it. He fits the scheme to a T. And still young, he can play. I like Shaquille Griffin a lot. I think he'd be a good fit in San Francisco for a cheaper price than maybe you had to get Sherman back for.
Him and Cheeto in that market of guys who are not going to get. They're the tier 2 corners. They're not going to get Desmond King. They're not going to get paid big money, but they should get paid. They're good players enough to get paid.
I think you expect guys like that to sign like shorter term deals.
2 year.
Maybe they can show that they're really good when the cap spikes and get bigger deals later on. So I definitely think that's a guy who you don't have to invest in long term, but you definitely can bring in and improve your defense.
All right, so I guess the last question.
I do have one more sneaky free agent pickup for the San Francisco 49ers. It's Curtis Samuel. the wide receiver from Carolina. Curtis, Kyle Shanahan loves his yak guys. Curtis Samuel definitely fits that to a T. He can hit the crossing routes, the play action stuff. You can run the jet sweep stuff with him, and you can bring him out the backfield. Return game too. I think Curtis Samuel would be a really sneaky fit in the Kyle Shanahan scheme.
Not much less to say right there. He would fit. They could do. The problem is, does it become redundant? They've got Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and Curtis Samuel. They all play the same type of game 3 different ways.
But we know the scheme Shanahan wants to run, and we know how he wants to run it. He doesn't really mix up too far from what he does. So I think just continuing to strength to strength, and make sure you have multiple. Because Debo Samuel missed a lot of games last year, so to be able
it's a very physical scheme.
He matches him, George Kittle. All those, you'll be able. Jimmy Garoppolo will never have to throw the ball down the field again. He'll just get 2,000 yards straight off a yak, and that's all you rack. That's all you're looking for.
Definitely. So I guess my question is, so who's leading the way in this division? I've got LAR.
I think Seattle should be the favorite coming back next year, strictly because I think Russell Wilson is still a better player than Matthew Stafford is, and we'll see how Matthew Stafford looks. Can he stay healthy for 16 games? So I think Seattle should be a slight favorite at 1, but the Rams are definitely right up there.
So you're not even thinking about San Francisco, because I have San Francisco as a healthy San Francisco as my 2.
I like a healthy San Francisco a lot. Healthy San Francisco has a chance to definitely make a jump and be right back at the front of the division. But with Nick Bosa coming off that ACL, it's probably going to need another year before he comes back to really be himself. They got to replace these guys at the cornerback position. So San Francisco got a few needs at their. They lost Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator. So San Francisco got a few needs to be able to show that they're as good as that team that went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
So you also in the side of it sucks for Mr. J.J. Watt because you've got Arizona in the basement as well.
It's a tough division. It's just a tough division. All these teams are capable of winning 10-plus games.
That's the lucky thing they've got going for them. Luckily, 3 wildcard teams make it, so technically
every single team in that division can be making the playoffs next year.
Unfortunately, they have to play 6 games against each other, so unless they're all going 500, 3-3. It's going to suck for somebody. Somebody's going to be at the end of the short stick where they've got to take the L.
These things usually have a way of working themselves out. Somebody's going to have injury problems. Maybe Seattle does trade Russell Wilson. Something's going to happen that, well, either if everybody stays the same, they'll be 4th. If not, they'll have a chance to make a jump up.
Well, yeah, that's it for this division. Do you think they'll continue to be the best division? Because I think their records will be different now that they don't have to play the NFC East 4 times this year.
If I'm just scanning the divisions right now, I don't hate the AFC North, or the AFC West. The AFC West could be really, really good next year, but I think for right now, the NFC West has to be the clear best division in the league.
And honorable mention out for Tom Brady's new division. That NFC South is pretty tough too. Right. Well, that's it for the NFC West.
NFC West.